Okay, well, welcome everyone to the Basel Communicators Network. It's Amy Stapleton here, and today we have a very exciting presentation on humour in business and how we can use that in our communication. And we've got Louise from the Brighton Comedy Club here to walk us through that. So Louise, over to you.
Okay, hi everyone. So I'm Louise Stevenson. I am a communications coach, a comedian and a writer. I run my business, Brighton Comedy Course, teaching people how to be stand-up comedians. I have been a stand-up myself since 1999, and I did my first gig in Wellington, New Zealand, to around 20 Kiwi goths who had very little exposure to a Glaswegian accent. Though strangely very well versed in the proclaimers, which was great because that's what I had for my crescendo of my first gig. So it went really well, and I was booked off the back of that. And went on to work in stages in London and States, Goa, which was my most bizarre gig. So I went on to work the comedy stage agencies all over the world, and mostly so in London for 6 or 7 years. So I founded my business, Brighton Comedy Course, about 10 years ago. We've just had the 10th anniversary. So we've had hundreds and hundreds of students come through the door, and some people come on the course to raise their confidence. Some come on to be better public speakers, and some will come on because they want to learn how to add humour and bring their own personality to what they're doing. So that's a bit of my background. I have been very much in the business world in the last 10 years. So I've been on an entrepreneur program and worked quite hard to build up my brand and build up my business. So last year when we founded Speakeasy Coaching, and Speakeasy Coaching is more specifically for public speaking. And I deal more with corporate companies, so American Express, big companies like that, for that kind of public speaking with humour rather than the base being comedy. So yeah, I love what I do. I love bringing a sense of humour to what I do, and I love encouraging companies and people and businesses to be themselves and to be authentic communicators, because I think an audience can tell when you're being authentic. Okay, so first off, it's nearly Friday. Yay! So this is what Homer Simpson's there for. We're delighted. Okay, so why humour works in business. Humour lowers defences. It makes your audience more receptive to your message. It also makes you seem more likeable, and people are willing to do business with or support someone they like. There's a lot of just real common sense there. If you meet someone in your social life, in your social circle, and you've been able to have a giggle with them or have some kind of humour with them, the chances are you'll remember them. Because humour, I think sometimes business people think that humour can take away the gravitas or take away the professionalism of what you're doing, and that's just a complete myth. I've coached lots of different kind of clients. I've coached a woman who works for a suicide charity. I've coached people who are writing something for a presentation for a partner that they've lost to cancer. You can bring humour into anything depending on how it's done. So I think the first thing to get rid of is thinking that it will kind of lose any professionalism. There's absolutely no need for that to happen. So lowers defences as well. Some of the best, when I was in the business world working for other people, and PR and marketing. The good relationships I had with my clients were often in humour. You know, we would have quite a good laugh, and we would be ourselves. You know, as in, how was your weekend, and able to have that kind of friendly conversation without he or she thinking that I might not know my service or business. You know, it's completely possible. Next slide, please, Amy. Okay, do you inject humour into your working life and business communications? So, like I said, a lot of people get straight to their profession or get to their job and think on a Monday morning, right, that's my personality away now. And it's finding the bit where you can take your personality into your business and integrate it to what you're doing. Audience breathe. And nobody's making light of those situations, but you can make light of how you dealt with it, or how your mum dealt with it, or, you know. So you can make it anecdotal like that. Can I have the next slide, please, Amy? Okay, so over the past century, a sense of humour has become a highly prized personality characteristic. This guy, Roddy Martin, a psychologist based in the US, and he has he talks about how comedy has evolved and how it's become more mainstay. And he's done a number of studies. You can Google him if you want to have a look after him. He's very interesting. But his point is that it's become from a more unique or quirky to actually a wee bit more mainstay, which I've noticed in business actually in the last 10 years. I'll have the next slide there, please, Amy. Thanks. Okay, so why do we use humour in business? Builds rapport and connection, makes you relatable, and it shows to your customer or client that you're a person, not just an employee. It keeps your audience engaged. So if you can make someone laugh, even if now, audience engagement is probably tougher than it's ever been due to these things. If you go and give a presentation, you will see how quickly people are looking. Any reason, people's attention spans are shorter than ever before. So you need to find a way to engage your audience. Humour is a brilliant way to do that. Audiences want a conversational style now from their public speaker. You know, rather than the days of you know, solid men in suits and it being very formal. I think public speaking nowadays, people want to see a more conversational style. And the trick, you can still be well organised, really good content, interesting and structured. So the trick is just to make it look like a conversation. Okay, so I'm going to give you some tips on how to keep your audience engaged. So if we can go to 5 simple ways to keep your audience engaged. So find a hook to grab people's attention. So if I'm speaking at a big presentation, because I teach stand-up, creative writing and public speaking, I'll generally go out and introduce myself and say, public speaking, people's number 1 fear is public speaking. Number 2 is death. So that means to the average person going along to a funeral that you're better off in the casket than reading the eulogy. So that's a quote that I would generally start. So it's public speaking, so it's about my business. It's established people's fears, so I'm identifying with my audience as well to engage with them, and it has a bit of humour in it. So everybody can get one of these about their business. I had a client last year that came in and was saying, oh yeah, I'm in IT, there is no chance that you're going to find something funny to say about IT. Well, I did a simple Google search and things you didn't know about IT, people that work in IT. It was a simple Google search, and it came up with 95% of people who work in IT don't tell their family or friends for fear of being asked to help, which I thought was absolutely hilarious. So you could, whatever business you're in, guys, you can inject humour into what you're talking about. There's not a client that I've had that's not been able to deliver a strong presentation or go to a meeting and not bring something funny about what they do. So ways to keep your audience engaged: add humour. What's your story? Reveal something about yourself. Generally, most days are doing what we do for a reason. There's some connection. I work with an entrepreneur whose mum had got cancer, and she come up with a herbal tea that had, so a lot of people do what they do from a personal connection and a story. So trying to think about what's yours so that you can tap in to your audience that way, and that reveals a little bit about you, which an audience they like to relate and find something in common with, if possible. So what's unique in what you're offering? So connecting with your audience is a good way to fit what's different about you, because I'm sure we could all do IT presentations, and it's finding a way to make your audience remember you. Okay, so finally, the last one: have clear objectives of what you would like your talk or presentation to be. So I'll sometimes get a client and they'll say, oh yeah, I spoke in front of 200 people. It was the biggest industry event I've been at. And I'm like, brilliant. Did you meet your objectives? And they're like, sorry, what? If you're going to put your time and energy into crafting really strong content that's humorous, and you practice it so that it's well delivered, and you hopefully receive business from it, then have clear objectives what you want to achieve from the talk or your meeting. It could be three things. It could be go to my website. It could be come along to a workshop. It could be review a new service or product. But be clear in your objectives, because speaking in with audiences, it does take a lot of time and it takes a lot of energy. Just for this today, a 40-minute hour thing, it would have took me a couple of hours to, So if you're going to put your energy and time into stuff, guys, try and have clear objectives of what you would like to achieve from it, so that your time has been well invested.